Try to think of a franchise as successful as Star Wars. You probably can't because there isn't one. Over the decades, it's gone from being escapism for geeks to just about the biggest name in all of pop culture. Everyone's seen at least one movie, heard an iconic line, or questioned why sand is so bloody coarse at one point or another in their lives. I know I have. With such widespread popularity, video games are sure to follow, so it should be no surprise that Star Wars has quite possibly the most extensive catalogue of tie-ins and expanded universe efforts out there of any blockbuster series. Here's the problem though, a lot of them just aren't very good. As a prime example of milking the cash cow, there are a lot of Star Wars games that would have been quite comfortable next to E.T. in a New Mexico landfill. When a great Star Wars game does come along, however, it's usually magical, transporting you back to your childhood and making you believe, even just for a fleeting moment, that you are a Jedi Master, or in the case of Super Bombard Racing, stuck with incurable bobblehead syndrome. With that in mind, let's count down some of the best Star Wars games. If your favourite didn't make the cut, let me know that I'm a nerf herder all you bloody like. Number 10. Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Deserving a spot on the list of the best Star Wars video games purely because of its opening sequence, The Force Unleashed is a hack-and-slash game set in the now non-canon, expanded lore that is the perfect excuse to bash a lightsaber around for a bit and throw some stormtroopers about the place. Playing a Star Killer, a powerful Sith who is serving as Darth Vader's apprentice, The Force Unleashed is the perfect way to throw some idiots around a screen with the Force without feeling too guilty about it. It's not deep and it is somewhat derivative, though it is the ultimate in Star Wars power fantasy. Shame about the sequel though. 9. Star Wars Lego. It's Star Wars, but with Lego. With there being a few of them that follow that very same formula, let's just clump them all together as one. Now there's a lot of fun to be had here for the kids and even some slightly older, 20-something and above kids, namely myself. I'm speaking about myself. The series possesses a great sense of humour and is so simple that anyone could pick it up, even the very young or those who don't even like games. There's always been something strangely cathartic about the collectathon found in LEGO games, but being able to do it as Jar Jar Binks, priceless, and then being able to cast yourself into the lava over and over again as Jar Jar, quite cathartic we'd say. 8. Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader. A game that sold many on the GameCube as a true contender in the new generation of consoles, Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader built upon its predecessor while adding even more Star Wars authenticity. Seriously, you kids don't know how beautiful these graphics were coming out of this beautiful, purple, lovely little cube. There are memories to be savoured here, from its unforgettable opening sequence attack on the Death Star to the reenactment of the closing moments of Return of the Jedi. If you've ever wanted to dive into the screen whenever Luke Skywalker was behind the controls of a fighter, dive into this game instead. 7. Star Wars Republic Commando. Allow that original Xbox nostalgia to wash over you like a wave. It's Republic Commando time. Quite possibly the most underrated Star Wars game ever released, Republic Commando is a squad-based FPS that really shouldn't work as well as it did. Thanks to some sharp writing, a likeable cast, and a tempo that fails to let up, LucasArts' 2005 effort has gone down as a bit of a cult classic. If you wanted us to boil down why it's so good, just imagine Halo and Metroid Prime had a baby with George Lucas as the sperm donor. Just don't make me play it now. We will be heartbroken if it doesn't stand the test of time. All the more reason to make a new single-player Star Wars FPS game, right? What's that? A Republic Commando sequel? Oh, you've charmed me, sir. 6. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Few had much faith in EA to publish a decent Star Wars game after the mauling Battlefront 2 received at launch, yet when Respawn, the developers of Titanfall and Apex, announced they were developing Fallen Order, a new hope was born. Sorry, but do you see what I did there? I think you did. Taking control of Cal Kestis, a young Jedi who's on the run after the events of Revenge, Fallen Order is a Metroidvania of sorts with a Souls-like influence that is far better than it has any right to be. It's challenging yet accessible with enough content to distract you past the main meat of the game. It has its rough edges, but Fallen Order contains a convincing return to form for the Star Wars IP in EA's hands. And don't you dare, EA, mess it up again. 5. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. The Star Wars equivalent of Mario Kart, though much less forgiving and with 100% less shells, Episode 1 Racer's ridiculous tempo helped it become one of the essential party games of its generation, though the amount of aggro this game caused probably ruined a lot of parties. The pod racers speed along the sands at alarming speed and tend to be destroyed easier than giant weapon moons floating in space, so the difficulty curve is a little bit steep. Find some friends and master it though, as many others did, and you will only have proof that Darth Maul wasn't the only good thing to come out of the Phantom Menace. Meanwhile, we are still seeing the game's corner turns in our nightmares. 4. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. Only slightly less preferred than its predecessor, Knights of the Old Republic 2 tries to build on its foundations and loses a little something in the process. While the core gameplay is as good as before, the storyline and its characters aren't quite as gripping or easy to engage with, though once you've sunk 100 hours into its inviting world, you probably won't notice. It's routinely available for a pittance, which may go towards the coffers to fund a third game. Please? Pretty please, George Lucas? With a little porg on top. 3. Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. Arguably ahead of its time and still visited by many Star Wars fans today, Jedi Outcast managed the impossible, making you feel like a Jedi. No, you're not on IGN's channel. There's an extensive range of force powers at your disposal, coupled with a captivating storyline which features cameos from big names in the lore, helping it to become the ultimate Star Wars video game in terms of fan service. It's been 15 years since its release and no other game has managed to nail lightsaber combat quite like this one. 2. Star Wars Battlefront 2. No, not the immensely hyped sequel to the disappointing reboot that people were more than a little annoyed by. The actual Star Wars Battlefront 2 is one of the most beloved games of the PS2 era because of just how much there was. It was more content than you could ever want or hope for from a Star Wars game. Sure, it might just be old school Battlefield with the Lucas touch, but when you throw in galactic conquest and the ability to play as a range of badass Jedi and Sith with your friends, you get Star Wars lore bending at its most frenetic. Even now, almost a decade and a half since release, people are still playing this game and mowing down Ewoks like they bloody deserve. And number 1, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. We all find the lack of a third true game in the series disturbing, but that does nothing to take away from the excellence of what BioWare crafted when in their prime. We're still waiting on them to make a new game following Inquisition, Anthem, Andromeda. Sorry, you're just making those up. Set before the events of any of the movies, Knights of the Old Republic has lore that you just want to lose yourself in, squad mates who you can relate to without feeling obliged to do so, and a scope rarely seen in the RPG genre. There's a certain point where the narrative takes a turn for the gobsmacking, but we don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it for the literal 98p it goes for these days. All of this adds up to not only one of the most immersive Star Wars experiences available, but also one of the best video games ever made. If you're a fan of Star Wars and you haven't tried this yet, this is the droid you're looking for. And there you have it, that is our list of the 10 best Star Wars games. Now, did you enjoy the list? Did you agree? Did you disagree? Please do let us know either way in the comments down below. And if you've enjoyed this video or any others that we pump out on the channel, please consider giving the channel a little subscribe down there, hit the like button, do it, and share this video with all your bloody Star Wars friends. Thank you as ever for watching and tuning in. Please do keep on supporting the channel. We appreciate all your bloody views here and on the Cultured Vultures website and social media pages, and of course we will see you in the next video. But until then, caw.